ASEAN economic ministers meet in Vientiane, Laos. Future prospect of non-cash payments in Vietnam. Hello and welcome to this edition of BizLine brought to you by VTV International. You with me, Lina Phạm. And as usual, we'll start our show by reviewing the economic highlights over the past week. The 48th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting was held in the Laos capital of Vientiane. The event sets out plans for the ASEAN Economic Community Master Plan until 2025 to make ASEAN the fourth biggest economy in the world in 2030. Those include principles of common consensus in ASEAN, as well as narrowing the development gap among member countries. Also under the framework of the meeting, ASEAN representatives met with important partners including Korea, China, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. The ministers focused on discussing measures to effectively implement the ASEAN-Korea Free Trade Agreement. ASEAN also agreed to strengthen cooperation with Japan, Korea, and China in promoting the exchange of supply chain initiatives in the region. Vietnam's trade turnover during the past 7 months was positive, according to the Import and Export Department under the Ministry of Industry and Trade. From the beginning of the year, exports were estimated at $96.8 billion, while imports reached $95 billion. The trade surplus in the first 7 months reached $1.8 billion. Vietnam continues to export mainly to the U.S., followed by the EU and China, and imports goods mainly from China, South Korea, ASEAN, and Japan. Vietnam's stock market has been listed as one of Southeast Asia's top 5 markets in terms of growth rate and profitability in the first half of this year. Despite international instability, Vietnam's stock market has recovered quickly and maintained its high growth rate. In July, the VN Index peaked at its highest point since March 2008, while market capitalization reached its highest level for the past 6 years. Meanwhile, in terms of hotel investment volumes, Vietnam is 4th highest market in Asia-Pacific region in the first half of 2016. The statistics were revealed in the Hotel Investment Highlights report by the property consultancy Jones Lang LaSalle. Transactions in Vietnam hit $237.6 million, which stands only behind Japan, Australia, and mainland China. A $74.9 million deal for Intercontinental Asiana Saigon in Ho Chi Minh City was among the top 10 during the period. More activities are expected during the rest of the year. From this August, Ho Chi Minh City will adopt measures to implement Resolution 35 on business development aid. This is to achieve the goal of having 500,000 enterprises by 2020. The city will spend $135 million of capital to aid entrepreneurship and technology innovation, of which $45 million will be injected into a fund to aid the former, while the rest will be pumped into a fund to aid the Business Startup Support Center. The municipal authority also urged better administrative procedures by utilizing online means. The State Bank of Vietnam warned credit institutions to increase vigilance against hackers following the recent cyber attack on Vietnam's airports and Vietnam Airlines on July the 29th. The State Bank recommends financial institutions and payment intermediaries to review and investigate the safety of their security system. Many commercial banks have also warned their customers about this issue. We have just reviewed the economic highlights over the past week. Up next, let's talk about the future prospect of the non-cash payments in Vietnam in our crosstalk. Non-cash payments have gradually become a trend in Vietnam as cash-used expenses see a remarkable reduction, according to the State Bank of Vietnam's payment department. Cash-used payments have reduced from 14.02% in 2010 to 12% at present. This reduction could be attributed to the number of payment methods now available, and because services based on technology have been introduced to payers and the economy. The percentage of cash-used transactions is expected to fall further in coming years. But what measures have been put into motion by the affected sectors, and are they enough to facilitate such change? Let's find out in this week in our crosstalk with Deputy CEO of Operations of the National Payment Corporation of Vietnam, Nguyễn Hoàng Long. But first, let's take a look at the following clip.
Over the past few years, the percentage of cash payment in Vietnam has gone down from 20% to around 12%, according to the State Bank of Vietnam. During the period, commercial banks have intensified the application of new technology, including fingerprint and QR code payment systems. At the end of 2015, over 99.5 million payment cards have been issued in Vietnam. The payment infrastructure has been improved, evidenced by the rapid increase of ATMs and point of sale or POS by 47% and 330% respectively. Commercial banks are interested in developing retail banking services and individual customers, with the number of individual accounts reaching 57.8 million. Some commercial banks implemented services for paying electricity and water bills, telephone, telecommunication, insurance and cable television fees, among others. Hello and welcome to this BizLine edition about non-cash payment in Vietnam. Now, over the past few years, the percentage of cash payment in Vietnam has gone down from 20% to about 12% today. So in your opinion, what are the underlying factors for this change?
So the move from 20% down to about 12% is a huge improvement in the non-cash payment. To bring about that change is actually a concerted effort from all the stakeholders in the market. First of all, it is the role of the State Bank of Vietnam, which have issued a lot of sound legal frameworks and also market development policies in order to create a level playing field and favorable conditions for the banks and all the payment companies to have a favorable conditions to innovate and to provide new services and products to the customers. And secondly, the banks also play a very important role in bringing down the cash payment percentage, developing new products and services for the non-cash payment, such as the use of card service, the development of personal account in the banks, and also new transaction channels like mobile banking, internet banking, ATMs, POS. And last but not least are the role of all the payment service providers or payment facilitators. The companies like provide the e-commerce payment service, billing and top-up, are an integral part of the ecosystem that makes the Vietnamese payment market nowadays.
What are the non-cash payment tools currently being used in Vietnam?
So I can say there are quite a few non-cash payment tools in the market nowadays. The first thing is cards. Cards has been in Vietnam for quite some time now, but the big leap in development of card payment just happened in the early 2000s. With the introduction of the ATM cards in the market. Just in like 15 years, we've seen huge development in terms of the card markets. From just a few 100,000 cards, now we have more than 100 million cards. 93.3% of that is the domestic debit cards, which are more well known as the ATM cards in the market. And the scheme cards or the international cards like Visa and MasterCard, Amex just account for about 7% of the market share, which is a good sign for the market because we have domestic cards, domestic brand for the local people. The second tool of payment quite popular is bank account. At the moment, according to statistics, about 31% of the Vietnamese population has a bank account. Compared to the world average of 51% is still very low, but it's a huge improvement compared to like 10 years ago. Recently, there's some new payment tools in the market, for example, e-wallet. E-wallet actually is an effort by the payment facilitators to try to penetrate the unbanked population to provide payment services to the people which don't have access to a bank account or a bank card.
Now we will consider a little bit about the customer side. What are the benefits that customers will receive when using non-cash payment tools?
So one of the biggest benefit for the Vietnamese citizen, I think, is they have the safety of using a non-cash payment tool because in the old times when you receive the salaries, you take it in cash and you bring home and then you do everything in cash. It creates a lot of insecurities when you use the cash. The risk of theft, the risk of counterfeit money, and also it incurs a lot of cost for carrying and handling cash for the merchants. So now I see a huge change in the society when everybody receives their salaries in the bank account. And the other benefit is, for example, for the convenience. Like when you shopping online, for example, you use a card, much simpler and more convenient for the consumers to use the cards in some cases. I must admit that in some cases, cash is still preferred by the consumers because of the speed of handling cash. However, we think with the new technology like contactless, just like you use a card and tap and go, you see a lot in the like of Australia and New Zealand. With the new technology change, I think the card eventually will become more convenient than cash. And in the near future, I think the people can use the cards in any form factor. For example, you can incorporate the card into your mobile phone and use the mobile phone, just tap and go and pay for your purchases.
Mình thì mình thích thanh toán bằng thẻ vì nó khá là gọn, khi mình nhét vào ví hay là mang đi đâu đó. Mà mình cũng muốn là gửi tiền khi mà công ty trả tiền lương ấy thì mình sẽ gửi tiền luôn vào thẻ thì nó dễ mình giữ nó dễ hơn là cái việc là mình cứ cầm tiền mặt và mình tiêu rất là nhiều.
Sử dụng cái thẻ này tiện hơn nhiều. Cái thứ nhất tức là mình không phải đem nhiều tiền. Cái thứ hai nữa là có những khoản thanh toán nhiều khi nó nhiều tiền lắm là mình chỉ cần quẹt thẻ cái là xong thôi, không cần phải đếm.
Tiền mặt thì nó tiện hơn, nó thanh toán được nhiều cái lĩnh vực hơn. Cái thẻ thì bây giờ nó hơi ít, nó chỉ có như kiểu là mình đi taxi hoặc là một số cái nhà hàng nó cao cấp quá thì nó mới có thôi.
Khi mua sắm thì tôi thích dùng bằng tiền mặt hơn là dùng thẻ bởi vì là nó tiện ích hơn, nó tiện lợi trong việc thanh toán hơn. Tâm lý của người Việt thì thường là họ hay thanh toán bằng tiền mặt nhiều hơn.
Thì lúc thanh toán bằng thẻ thì có thể trục trặc với máy và có thể là mình quên mật khẩu chẳng hạn.
Trong trường hợp là mất thẻ thì cũng hơi mệt.
Also, another thing, what are the challenges that we face in promoting non-cash payment in Vietnam?
The development of the card market still facing some challenges. One of the biggest one is the percentage of cash withdrawal at the ATM is still high compared to the real purchase of the card. Account transactions are provided by the banks, and the main challenges are the channels are not interoperable between the banks. So the interbank transaction through account is still somewhat limited. The security is always a big concern with the consumers and the banks and the providers of payment service. We all know that, and we have implement a lot of the tools and a lot of the system to manage the risk for the consumers. For example, under the direction of the State Bank Vietnam at the moment, all the banks are changing the ATM card from MagStripe to a chip card. Also, we will provide more value-added services for the customer, because on the chip you can install not just payment, but for example you can put a loyalty program on the payment card. So the chip card will provide both the safety and the convenience for the consumers in the future.
According to the e-commerce report 2015 by the Vietnam E-commerce and Information Technology Agency, 91% of consumers pay cash for deliveries. Bank transfer ranks as the second most popular means of payment at 48%. Meanwhile, other methods such as e-wallets, payment cards or scratch cards are rarely used.
Người tiêu dùng vẫn còn dè dặt so với hình thức thanh toán trực tuyến này. Một phần là niềm tin của họ trong quá trình mua sắm trực tuyến nói chung, cũng như khâu thanh toán họ chưa thực sự tin tưởng, và họ vẫn ưu tiên lựa chọn hình thức thanh toán truyền thống là nhận hàng và giao tiền.
Enterprises usually pay the intermediary party fee for non-cash payments carried out on websites. However, some firms include such fees in the product price due to low profit margins. This further encourages customers to pay in cash so as not to pay higher prices. In the meantime, not many enterprises offer non-cash payments in their services due to a lack of capital and technology. According to statistics, only 17% of e-commerce websites accept online payments.
Cái mức phí nó khá cao so với cái lợi nhuận mà họ thu được, và thứ hai là cái hạ tầng công nghệ thông tin để ứng dụng cho các hình thức thanh toán của đại đa số doanh nghiệp vẫn chưa thực sự là tốt và đem lại cái sự tin tưởng cho cả doanh nghiệp ứng dụng lẫn người tiêu dùng.
Enterprises have to pay 1.5 to 2% of the total invoice value. E-payment is conducted with international cards and around 0 to 0.5% with domestic cards. In order to encourage non-cash payments, several measures have been taken.
Hiện nay thì về phía các cơ quan nhà nước cũng như các tổ chức ở trong nước có rất nhiều các hoạt động để tuyên truyền, nâng cao nhận thức của người tiêu dùng cũng như doanh nghiệp, và thông qua đó thúc đẩy họ, kích thích họ mua sắm thanh toán trực tuyến nhiều hơn. Điển hình như diễn đàn thanh toán trực tuyến, hay là mới nhất như năm 2015 vừa qua, Bộ Công Thương có phối hợp với Hiệp hội Thương mại điện tử Việt Nam tổ chức cái ngày mua sắm trực tuyến.
During Online Friday 2015, several incentives were offered to customers paying without cash. For example, banks implemented a cashback policy for those using ATM cards with cashback rates of up to 50% of the invoice value. In addition, about 223,000 POS machines have been installed nationwide, an increase of 330% compared to 5 years ago.
The Vietnam's card market is said to have huge potential to grow. So what is the situation of the current card market, and how can we make use of this potential?
The Vietnam card market, like I said, has undergone a lot of development recently, with close to 100 million cards out there in the market. However, there's still a lot of room for improvement. I think there's some of the trends in the future that we can see for the card market. One trend is, like I just said, the card will eventually be converted to a chip-based standard. The other trend in the Vietnam market is that the banks and the whole industry, I should say, is trying to push for the widen of the POS acceptance network. That's one of the huge effort recently by the banks. We only have 2 POS terminals per 1,000 people. Compared to the neighboring countries like Thailand, they have 5 POS terminals for 1,000 people. In Malaysia, the number is even higher. It's 8 POS terminals. First of all, I think we have to catch up with the neighboring countries in terms of the POS network, so people can use their cards everywhere. And then we can think of the days when it's like developed country like in the Europe or the US or even closer to home, the Australia or New Zealand, where you can actually use a card everywhere.
As you've said earlier, there's a program to develop point of sale to reduce the amount of ATMs used in Vietnam. So what impacts do you think this will bring about?
I think it's pretty obvious. Once you have more merchants accepting cards out there, people will start to change their behavior. They will not use a card as an ATM card anymore. They will use a card at the merchants. In doing that, they eliminate all the risk and costs involved with the cash payment. Because if they withdraw the cash, they still have to bring the cash, they still face the risk of losing the cash, they still face of counterfeiting. And on the merchant side, they still have to collect in cash, they still have to manage the cash, and eventually for merchants, they have to put the cash into the banks. And all of that process involves a lot of costs and risks for the consumers and the merchants alike. So if the consumer can use a card directly at the merchant, then the fund will change hands inside the banks, literally from the customer account to the merchant accounts, and it eliminates all the costs and risks involved in handling cash.
The e-wallet appeared in Vietnam in 2008. However, it wasn't until 2012 that it became an official intermediary payment channel. As of May this year, there were 16 e-wallets in the country. With the fast growth of e-commerce, the e-wallet is regarded as an effective payment method.
Tôi cảm thấy nó có rất nhiều cái ưu việt hơn so với những cái hình thức hiện tại mà tôi đang sử dụng ở những các taxi khác. Thứ nhất là nó không cần phải thiết phải sử dụng tiền mặt. Thứ hai là việc lưu trữ cái dữ liệu thanh toán có ở trên điện thoại của tôi. Thứ ba là gần như là thanh toán nó rất là nhanh, chỉ cần việc xài điện thoại không cần phải dùng thẻ hay cả thẻ mất thời gian ngồi check lại số hay là viết ở trên những cái hóa đơn. Và cái thứ tư nữa là tôi có thể thanh toán xa cho người thân hoặc bạn bè hoặc đối tác của tôi.
Người sử dụng ấy, là ta không phải mang tiền mặt đi. Cái thứ ba là cái lợi nữa là trong vận tải taxi thì cái dịch vụ nó thấp lắm, nó hay có tiền lẻ. Thì nếu mà người thanh toán thì ta sẽ bấn trong chuyện tiền lẻ.
Despite its advantages, only 11% of people used e-wallets for payment in 2015, down from 37 in 2014, according to the Vietnam E-commerce and Information Technology Agency.
Mạng lưới hệ thống các cái doanh nghiệp sử dụng cái ví điện tử chung một ví điện tử hiện nay là khá thấp, và một doanh nghiệp cung cấp ví thì cái khả năng phát triển hệ thống của họ còn chưa rộng. Do đó mà cái tính đa dạng của các hàng hóa sản phẩm của người tiêu dùng khi họ có nhu cầu mua sắm và có ví điện tử nó chưa được đa dạng.
In order to ensure cash flow as well as accessibility and convenience of payment, e-wallet providers usually cooperate with banks. For instance, Momo is a collaborative product between Mservice and Vietcombank. The barrier to popularize e-wallet in Vietnam is that the target customers are those with bank accounts, which has distorted the original target market of e-wallets. In the coming time, in order to popularize non-cash payments, it is expected that innovation in technology will raise customers' confidence and provide extra convenience.
Another payment tool I see have been developed in Vietnam is e-wallet. So what other payment tools and channels should be promoted in the future?
For e-wallet, I think it's very innovative ways of providing payment service for the non-bank population. It has been successful, especially in certain markets like in Kenya, in Ghana, Nigeria, or those African countries where they have a very weak banking industry. However, the situation here in Vietnam, I think, is a bit different. We have 100 million cards. We have millions and millions of bank accounts. We have people receiving salaries through the bank accounts. So e-wallet can be successful in case of big merchants. They already selling the goods and services to the customers, and they also issue an e-wallet to their own customers. And they provide benefits like loyalty program, like discounts if the people use the e-wallet. In order to make it like an e-wallet to spend everywhere in the markets at every merchant, I think it will be a very tall task for the e-wallet providers at the moment.
Now, how would you envision the non-cash payment market in Vietnam in the next 5 years?
In my personal, and I only hope, is the hope and the dream and the desire of the people working in the payment industry to see that the cards and non-cash payment tools like cards, e-wallet, account, mobile payment, internet payment can really become the everyday life transaction of each and every Vietnamese citizen. So actually, it's what we are working towards, not just company like us, but the whole industry under the direction of the State Bank Vietnam, the banks, the government, the payment facilitators, all those people are working towards that goal.
Thank you so much for joining our program.
Thank you.
Although non-cash payments provide many benefits for the developing economy in Vietnam, these payment methods still fall short of their potential. The prospects of deeper economic integration, new policies, and changing market conditions are bringing fresh stimulus to non-cash payments in Vietnam. Thus, developing a new payment system, information technology, modern machinery, and changing consumer payment habits are essential in facilitating such growth. We'll continue to keep a close watch on this emerging trend. For now, that's all for this episode of BizLine. Thank you very much for watching. You can always rewatch our show at vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. For now, goodbye from Hanoi.